Welcome to episode 12 of I Love Hockey, and we're back in the cafe. You're
Yeah,
listening
I
to
love
Pretsel,
Hockey Cafe.
yeah, and I've got the big dog. How are you, big dog?
Not bad, Preds. How are you, mate?
Oh, recovering from those late nights of watching the World Cup over in India, and
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
buzzing at that grand final.
Oh, mate, absolutely. That was just insane. Which
Yeah.
then rolled on to a few more late nights that we were watching, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. We the indoor World Cup to the other side of the world in South Africa. So
Yeah,
um let's have a quick look at that one. That's wrapped up, but we'll obviously look at some highlights of that tournament, and we'll start by looking at who was involved in the men's and the women's. So you want to kick us off?
yeah. Shall we start with men's?
Yeah.
Yep. So it's quite an interesting tournament. I nearly played in it a few years ago, by quite a few.
Yeah.
Obviously, outdoor was more of a little focus for us, but I was
Yeah.
lucky enough to travel to Germany. Uh, yeah, Germany, Poland, Russia playing indoor. So
Right.
it's a pretty big sport. And for those that don't really understand indoor, when it snows outside through Europe, the actual pipes underneath the hockey field freeze. So to keep competitive and stay competitive, they go indoors, and it's a more technical game. They're not being able to lift the ball. So, these teams do pretty well, and a lot of the smaller countries actually compete with the bigger nations because you're only playing sort of six or five plus a goalkeeper
Yeah.
against each other. So that makes a big difference, and you can play your best players for bigger minutes. So the
Yeah.
tournament sort of layout, you're talking 12 teams, which is quite a big tournament when you think about it, really.
Yeah, they obviously play their games a lot closer and sort of cram that into a tighter period um, compared to the outdoor.
Yep.
Um,
Still playing quarters, so that was pretty
yeah,
intense. And I think we spoke about how that affects a lot of players, both in
yeah,
outdoor and seeing the clock count down and that mindset in indoor so quick, so you can quickly score goals and the momentum swings. So it's
yeah,
it was quite an intense sort of tournament. And our Oceania group didn't do as well as what we don't play. I'd say enough indoor in the world because we play in a smaller period, and we play generally during summer,
summer. That's right.
which
Yeah,
can be upwards of in a hall at any time, 48 to 50 degrees sort of thing.
plus the
Um,
humidity and no fans.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, no
Yeah,
fans except the ones that are standing around the outside.
yeah,
So, no, really interesting. We had Oceania sort of hold up the bottom of the table.
yeah,
We had a few Asian teams do reasonably well, African teams, and
yeah.
then the US team did quite well as well. So
Mhm.
coming in through some competitive, uh, and then South Americans, and then we had obviously our Europeans,
Yeah,
which is quite interesting. So big final position obviously is that there was no German indoor team,
yeah,
which is quite unusual for how good they are in the world for indoor.
yeah. It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and I think one thing to touch on in terms of the game for those that don't really know it too well, in terms of you're talking about the pace of it. There's actually boards running down both sides of the of I'll say the court instead of the field because it's
yeah,
more like a court. Um, and your ability to use that makes the game so much faster because down the sides it means the game's constantly ebbing and flowing the whole time,
yeah,
and almost a bit like ice hockey where you're on and off while the game's still in motion at times. It's definitely a very fast end-to-end game. um,
yeah.
for some of the listeners out there that may not know too much about the game itself.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we say it's like having two extra players when you have the
Yeah.
ball. It also means like having two less players when you don't have the ball.
No, that's
So
right.
you might want to cover the inside of the field, or you might cover the boards, but you
Yeah.
can't cover both all the time. So yeah, pretty interesting. It's like for those people that only play outdoor that listen to us, it's
Yeah.
like playing a small game and having a line of cones, but you can have someone you can pass to on the outside,
Yeah.
and then they can pass forward or back.
Yeah.
So there's another little hint for drills for you guys out there.
No. Yeah, that's right. And the ball
So
has to be dead flat the moment it's lifted in any way
yep,
apart from in the circle.
yeah,
Um, it's raised ball and free hit the other way.
definitely. And there's also the whole drilling aspect. So turning
Yeah.
and spitting into someone, which is quite dangerous. That's
Yeah.
very frowned upon. And then also
The
you can only
outlet as
have,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
outletting and
Yeah.
and you can only have 3 points on the ground. So that'd be your
Yeah.
2 feet and your stick.
Yeah.
So you can't then lean out on your hand and
No,
make
that's
further
right.
tackles and so forth. So again, you need to be smart and see how things work. But I
Yeah.
think these guys did it pretty well. So maybe we'll
Yeah.
just touch on the semi-finals and finals, shall we?
Yeah. Yeah. We go through
So
the men's.
yeah, definitely. I think looking at that, the when we cut down to sort of different, there was two different pools, A and B.
Yeah. That's right.
Um, and then interestingly enough, um, in pool A, Austria and Netherlands played, and that was quite a competitive game all the way through.
Yeah.
Austria beat them in the round robin games as well, which
Yeah.
was quite good. An intense game, and then they were lucky enough, a little bit of inside knowledge here, but they did meet in the final.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but and then we looked at there was quite a few good positions and good strong teams to be able to compete all the way through.
Yeah.
So, like, I was pretty impressed to see the US after meeting quite a few of those players over in um, over in the States during their
Yeah.
tournaments.
Yeah.
So, there's some pretty technical players, and I think it was quite a good opportunity for them to be able to keep battling it out. So,
Yeah.
so looking at the I suppose the third, fourth match, should we look at that?
Yep.
That was the Iran ended up playing the US
Yeah, they did.
in a quite an intense battle
Yeah.
for the bronze medal.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a lot of
Full
shifting
time was
out
4-all.
for all, yeah.
Yeah.
And then into our famous calls. We should have made
Shootout.
some calls prior to this. So
Yeah.
uh, the old shootout, yeah,
Yeah.
no, quite intense. And for the US to lose out on a medal again in shootouts at the end of the tournament, it's just pretty tough way to
Yeah.
go out. But unless someone has to win, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. And
And the magical final, mate.
yeah.
Yeah, Netherlands versus
So
Austria. So
yeah.
Austria were trying to go back to back.
Back to back. Yep,
Um,
that's right.
yeah, and as we are saying before, it does snow there, so they're
Yeah.
very technically skilled. They receive the ball in good position. They've got what we call a slider. So
Yeah.
instead of just pushing the ball, they keep it on the shaft of the stick, and they can slide it left and right. So that
Yeah.
engages a lot of people. And they just make some pretty good chances.
Yeah.
So going to the final, end result, mate. You remember?
Well, we
Very
have
similar.
a
Similar to the final.
draw.
Yeah,
Yep, a
4-4.
draw. Yep, 4-all draw.
Yeah.
Let's just look at the quick, like, you know, Austria obviously opened, they scored first.
Yep.
First quarter equal 1-1. Coming to the second quarter, much again, Austria scoring first and Netherlands
Yep.
catching up 2-2. Swing the other way a little bit in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Momentum
uh,
change.
yeah, momentum change, and it was 4-3 to the Netherlands.
Yep. Jumping
Um,
out in front.
yeah, and then a card late in the fourth quarter to the Netherlands, and obviously that makes it even more difficult.
Yep.
And then corner, it looks like it was a penalty stroke.
Yeah, shot on in front.
Yeah, that's
And that
right,
was
and for
Michael
all,
Cropper.
yeah,
So I think he had a
and
pretty good day at the office, Michael,
yeah,
with it.
yeah,
2 field goals and a stroke.
yeah, and then we went into shootouts.
Shootouts, any man's game, hey.
Yeah, and
Difficult, difficult. And again, that's a shorter distance to run up and actually create.
that's
So
right. Uh, and then I guess the final result there was 3-2 to Austria. So they got their back to back, and
yep,
Mr. Michael Kropa, like you said, good day at the office. He was number
yep,
two, and he got his
yep,
one as well. So 4 in
absolutely.
a GF. It's
It's not too
pretty
bad.
in a World
Taking
Cup
one under
final. It's pretty
pressure.
good. Yeah,
Yep. And ended up finishing with 17 goals for the tournament.
tournament. Yeah, that's right.
So he's done quite well. I'd hate to say, but I think he's probably scored majority of their goals. But not only that,
Yeah,
he might have actually so he might have actually scored some more goals than some teams put together.
put
So
together.
well
Yeah,
done. So
yeah,
27 goals for
yeah.
and only 5 against in their campaign for Austria. So
That's yeah.
that's not a bad stint.
No, that's right. Do we want to cap it off with looking at the final standings as well? So
Yeah, definitely.
we'll alternate. We had Austria first.
Yeah, and then Netherlands come in at
Netherlands,
number
yeah.
two.
And we discussed Iran beating the United States as well. So they were
Yeah.
third.
So really important. That's very good for obviously
Yeah.
Asian hockey, but
Yeah.
also Iran. They're not a huge outdoor country,
No.
growing in the ranks, but for them to be able to have that and then to be able to grow the sport in their country, it's
Yeah.
pretty inspirational for hockey all around.
Yeah. To medal like that. Yeah. Um,
Mm.
United States fourth. Belgium
Bel
fifth.
Fifth,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw Belgium play a few times. They were pretty sharp. They've
Yeah.
got that competitiveness similar to the outdoor host
Yeah.
nations.
Yeah.
Number six, they had some pretty good players, and I think for those that didn't actually watch all the tournament, you would have got some pretty good highlights from South Africa,
Yeah.
and then also some pretty good saves on the line from rolling in number seven, the Argentinians.
Yeah. And then another African nation, Namibia, coming in at eight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Czech
Um,
Republic, who have always been pretty good,
yeah.
and been up around number two, number three. So you can see how
Yeah.
competitive this was played all the way through.
Yeah.
And then into our other Asian country.
Yeah. Kazakhstan coming in
Yeah,
at number 10.
lovely.
Um,
Then our home
Trans
nation.
Tasman Battle. Yeah.
So I think mate, we'll just say that we just took that one. I know which side are you
Yeah.
jumping on?
So yeah, Australia 11, New Zealand 12, rounding
Yeah.
out the men's side of the World Cup. And look, if you want to catch some of the highlights of that, check over, jump on the FIH website, go into the World Cup. It was obviously in Pretoria, and yeah, just flick around through
Yep.
the galleries of the videos for the men's and photos, and um, look, I think it's a sport. Um, I say here in Australia in the off season, it's a great way to keep your skills up. It's fast paced,
Mm.
it's quick. Um, I haven't played it for the last 2 seasons, but prior to that, been definitely playing here, and it's a great way to keep those skills running through the off season into outdoor. So,
Yeah,
my little take on it.
absolutely.
Um,
And it's great for those younger players to learn how to play angles and
yeah,
for them to be able to learn how to pass off the board and not through a player. So it
that's
teaches
right.
you pass outside the reach of a player, and I think that's really important to then be able to take that into your outdoor or continue on and play a World Cup for your country.
Yeah, well, I also find footwork and body position is you learn a lot from indoor very, very quickly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
taking that into indoor, taking that into outdoor can, especially defensively, um, even be able to read some of the stick play as well as close
yeah,
up is very good for your defensive
yeah,
that you
definitely.
do outdoor. Um,
Yeah, awareness
if
on
we
the
go over to the
ball, off the
women,
ball.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's start at the bottom and then work our way up to the final.
okay.
So Namibia coming in at number 12.
Yeah.
So it's good to see them again. African nation
Yeah.
competing pretty well, qualified, and then to be part of the tournament, I think.
Yeah. And then my home country sliding in a number 11. Um, I know they were a challenge to, it was a really good challenge for them to be over there. So it'll be interesting to hopefully they take some experience back and, build on the next campaign.
Yep.
Obviously sliding into 11th. We got
And
Kazakhstan in
Kazakhstan.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. They're
Yep.
competing and heading to tournaments and representing their country. Very
Yeah.
passionate. I met quite a few of these guys and girls at Asian Games, and you know they are very passionate. They love their hockey, and we're
Yeah.
pretty happy to be around and push themselves and compete. So
Yeah.
good to see them come in at number 10. Number 9, the US team.
Yeah.
Again, made plenty of chances, had opportunities, just it doesn't always go the way
Yeah.
you want. So
No, that's
they
right.
hit a lot of goals.
Yeah.
So they hit high, like more goals in South Africa than they played in the semis. But
Yeah.
when you leak some and just in the wrong time,
Wrong time. Yeah.
it
It
can
can cost you.
cost you big time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So their
then
neighbours, Canada, coming in
Canada,
at number 8.
yep, yeah, Canada
Yeah.
similar. Only had the one win, a couple of draws, and
Yeah.
the quite interesting goal difference was 0. Hit 10,
Yeah.
had 10 hit against them.
Yeah.
So they came to play and they went pretty well, but not
Yeah.
up to, I suppose, the standard of
Stand. Yeah.
of those sort of
That.
top
Yeah.
five,
I think.
six nations.
Yeah. And then we had Australia coming in at 7th, which was good. Um,
Yeah,
I th-
yeah,
yeah, I think, like you said, you look at the top section of both the men's and women's in this indoor, and when you watch some of the videos and the highlights, you can definitely just see the difference in the speed and the way that they play the game. So they're,
yeah,
yeah, I think the gap's closing, but yeah, no, it's good to see them come in at 7th. Um,
yeah, definitely. A big
yeah,
shout out to the Australians and I presume the New Zealanders as well,
yeah,
that they do fund themselves, the players.
yeah,
And that's a pretty big deal. It's not a cheap tour, but to
yeah,
pull on your emblem and represent your country is pretty special.
yeah. No, that's right. And to play on a world stage in any sport, it's not easy. So, to have that added factor of having to fund your own way there is makes it all the more challenging, but also rewarding at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, definitely.
yeah,
Oh, and then heading up there with Ukraine
yep.
6, Belgium at 5,
5,
and
yep.
then into the
Host
sort of
nations, yeah, top 4,
yeah, yeah. South Africa, they played really well, and obviously that
yeah,
that crowd really got behind them.
yeah. No,
So
it's
that was a few interesting results there.
yeah. Obviously, Czech Republic are beating South Africa in the third and fourth playoff to pick up the bronze.
Yeah, yep. Competitive game again. Czech being cold over there, the way they hold the ball and shift the ball, and a strong. It was quite an intense game, but nevertheless, Czech Republic just climbing over the top.
Yeah. And the result there was 3-1. When we quickly look at that game, you know, 1-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
Second quarter, no change in score. Opened
no,
up a
yeah, a
little
few
bit, obviously, in the
PCs.
third. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the third. And that's 3-1. And that was pretty much all she wrote in the end.
yeah,
Final
yeah,
score 3-1.
definitely. They had a few corners
Yeah,
towards the end, but
yeah,
that couple-minute green card
yeah,
definitely comes back and can bite you as you
yeah,
start playing, almost chasing the ball.
yeah,
But yeah, 3-1, pretty convincing in the end. But
yeah,
unlucky to South Africa, but well done on hosting a good tournament.
yeah.
Should we get to the
And
final?
then, yeah, the GF.
Yeah.
So we have the same with the men's Netherlands versus Austria. So,
Yeah. So this time it was the other way around, where
yeah,
Austria, Netherlands are going for their two in a row,
yeah,
and we can fairly say that it was a pretty much a one-sided game.
yeah, very
What do you
convincing. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think it's just the you watch some of the highlights and just the strength and speed and the skill, um, just the ability to open them up uh, and earn some of these PCs, and they scored everything off just about everything off a PC. The last one was a field goal, so
Yeah.
obviously a really strong aspect to their game. Um,
Mm,
do you want to wrap
yeah,
out each
definitely. Well,
corner in
when you get a
terms of
PC
the
in the first,
scores? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, definitely. So when you hit a PC in the first minute from the Dutch team,
yeah,
you might be in a little bit of stress and pressure with the
yeah,
game coming ahead. They then scored that corner in the
mhm,
second minute, got another corner. Oh, sorry, got a field goal
yeah,
by Holger Hever.
yeah,
So at 4 minutes, so quarter time 2-0.
yeah,
Yeah, I think there was sort of a bit of understanding they were in it, but no corners for Austria whatsoever in the
just too
first
many. Yeah,
period. Second period, into that, a few PCs, and in the
yeah,
13th minute scored from Brands
yeah,
off a PC, which is great. 3-0 half time. Still no PCs for Austria. And then in the 25th minute, so just
yeah,
going into that just before three-quarter time, another PC put in from
yeah,
Brands again. So, hitting a hat trick in a World Cup final.
yeah.
I salute you. I send you my best regards,
Big ups,
Brands, and
big shout out.
that's it. Big shout out.
Yeah,
And then in the final quarter, I think the wheels sort of fell off a little bit from Austria, and
yeah,
starts at 30 in the first minute. They got another PC, scored by Klassen there,
yeah,
and then another PC 37 minutes scored by Brand,
yeah,
and then a field goal by
hmm
the Guinness.
yeah. To
So
wrap it up.
7-0.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, great for the Dutch girls. I suppose for
yeah,
Austria, you want to be a little bit more competitive, but
yeah,
you know, it's hard.
yeah,
You've got they hit five penalty corner goals and two field goals.
yeah.
It's yeah,
But
quite
it
an
definitely,
intense.
yeah. You look at both the men's and women's and those top two teams. Well, especially in the women's, the Dutch are the ones that are setting that standard, right? So they're the ones to chase,
Yeah,
and you can see the
definitely.
gap between the rest of the field, whereas the men's is a little bit closer. But I think there's going to be some huge learnings moving forward. I think there's a lot more
Mm,
exposure of the indoor from this tournament, so
yeah,
hopefully we'll
it was
we'll see
really,
that
yeah,
sport
held well,
grow. Yeah,
definitely. It was done well by South Africa. They got some pretty good sponsors on board, and
yeah,
it was good that it was advertised, and the support from the crowd was fantastic.
yeah,
I was just looking at the head to head, so of the last four matches from 22 that in during the World Cups,
yeah,
2007, 11, 22,
yeah,
and they had their indoor or Euro hockey indoor.
yeah,
Um, the Netherlands have won all four,
yeah.
and 6-2, 7-0, 7-0, 5-1.
One. Yeah,
So yeah, quite a difficult match, and
yeah,
then into 7-0 again. Seems like
yeah,
7-0 might be their score for
yeah,
those punters that are listening behind.
yeah. Um,
So
yeah. So that wrapped up the women's side of the indoor World Cup. And again, if you want to go check out some of the highlights and photos and footage from that tournament over in Pretoria in South Africa, FIH is the website to log on to.
yeah, definitely. Well, get on there, watch it, even follow
Yeah,
some of the stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and
yeah,
really look at the skills you can take from that into your outdoor or your positioning, your upright flicks, and so forth. So
yeah,
great opportunity for those young people trying to learn.
yeah. Hundred
So what
percent.
else have we got going on in the world of hockey at the moment?
Well, a pro league is kicked off here for the women in where are they now? Sydney, I believe, down in Sydney. And we
Hmm.
have let's just bring up where our little FIH and look at what we got around the grounds, so to speak.
Yep.
So pro league in Sydney, we got China, we have Australia, and we've got Germany here as well at the moment.
Yep. In
And do
Sydney
you want
Olympic
to?
Park.
Yeah, that's right. You want to bring us up to speed with what we've got there, and then once they're done, obviously we'll flick over the New Zealand kicks off. But let's look at what's happening in Sydney at the moment. They wrap up here
Definitely.
on the 16th. So
So the first game we had Australia versus Germany. So
yeah,
that was quite a intense game. We had Malone play pretty well
mm-hmm.
through the middle. That was a 3-0 win full time
Yeah,
to Australia. So
that was a good result.
uh, yeah, so yeah,
Mhm.
some pretty good goals and scoring in the same minute from Malone really sort of put a bit of a pressure onto Germany. No PCs for Germany, which is quite interesting considering the way they move the ball, and more about Australia's sort of dominance on keeping the ball and creating opportunities.
Yeah,
So, there's a couple of cards either way, which slowed the game for Australia, but nevertheless, 3-0. I think they'd be
yeah,
pretty happy with that result. And, you know, there was good pace by Australia. Um,
yeah,
good goal scoring opportunities, and when you hit a few good goals like that, it
yeah.
definitely takes the pressure off you, which is a lot of these girls have been fighting for their spots. So
Spots. Yeah,
it's great for them to be able to come on and have an opportunity and play well.
yeah. Now that was yesterday's game, the 3-0. We had a couple of games before that, just quickly on the 10th of Feb. Um,
Yep,
we had Australia play China, 1-1 draw at full time.
yep,
And like you said, it's the first time they probably played in a bit and get those numbers right and combos going, and went into shootout. So Australia came through there with a 3-1 win in the shootout, which is a great way to start that first game for that leg of the Pro League.
Yep.
They had the Saturday off, which led into China playing Germany, which was a 2-1 win to Germany.
Yep.
Great. And then obviously, you just discussed the 3-0 win by Australia over Germany. Nice convincing win
Yep.
there. And then this afternoon, they have just played. So let's take a quick look
China
at that
again.
game. Yeah, they played China again. And
That was a
kick us
that
off.
was a 2-2
Yeah,
draw. So we had China up 1-0 at the end of third quarter. So there was a bit of
yeah,
an arm wrestle for most of the
yeah,
first half. And then they scored again in the 47th minute. So just
yep.
after three-quarter time to go 2
And do
nil
we
up.
call that another elusive 2-0 lead?
Well, there's been a few of those. When you take your foot off the gas,
Yeah,
I think it all comes back to
yeah,
challenge you. Yeah.
yeah.
You can't sit back and relax on a 2-0
No.
scoreline. I think we've come to realise that.
Yeah,
I hope a
the
lot of other
momentum
people have.
shift is a big one to stop when you go from 2-0 down to come back 2-1. The
Yeah,
momentum shift there is a hard one to stop. And we've seen that in so many games in the Men's World Cup.
definitely.
And here 2-2 draw, like, scoring in the
Mm,
51st minute with a
yep.
field
So
goal and then coming back again a few minutes later.
56 with Brooke Paris.
Yeah,
Yeah, really interesting. That there was a good ball that got pushed across. Goalkeeper wouldn't save it.
yeah,
Defender ran off her player to Jane Claxton, picked it up and flicked in the goal.
yeah,
Gave him a bit of hope, and then there was a bit of pressure after that. And in the third quarter, it was just push, 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 and then quite a few field goals. Penalty corners as well
yeah.
that were there. So it's
Do you
just a
think
matter
that
of
there was actually when we look at that result, there's a card there at the 50th minute. So that pushing plus that card obviously created a bit of extra space for them to come
mm,
through.
what's amazing.
Um,
So they held out for that 5 minute yellow
yeah,
card, but
yeah,
it's always the way. You work hard, work hard. You get that extra one back, and then a lot of teams sit back and relax.
yeah,
And then often something like that, a hard ball came in, across the
yeah,
face. Brooke Paris was down low,
yeah,
hit her stick, and then she knocked it in and 2-2.
yeah. And you know, Brooke Paris is closing in on 200 games for Australia. What do you think? Do you think some of that experience has come into play late in the game? And Jane's over 200 caps as well. So some of the more experienced players coming into
Yeah,
the latter part of the game, and whether they
yeah.
just weren't
Kershaw was
panicked
another
and
one. She
yeah,
she she ran some good lines and shifted the ball. Caitlin Nobbs played pretty well.
yeah,
So there's three or four solid players that
yeah,
we talk about that controlled the ball well.
yeah,
So yeah, when you put all those together, yeah, it's interesting. Bit of challenge, that's for sure.
yeah. So that
So
was today's game,
yeah, and then
and
then into the shootout.
yeah,
So this at least today it was good to see a few people change their
yeah,
shootout up a little bit and challenge. But a big shout out probably goes to Jocelyn Bartram from
yeah,
Australia, who was in goals and did pretty well in the first shootout. And then again, she did pretty well in this shootout.
yeah,
So Australia hitting 4 from 5.
yeah,
That's a pretty good conversion rate, and I think they're a lot sharper on the ball than what they were in the first one.
yeah,
And then I don't know if you managed to just catch a few of those little cheeky finishes from some of these
yeah,
Chinese players. Like one of them,
yeah,
one of them spun the goalkeeper on Jocelyn, picked
yeah,
it up and tried to knock it over her head and just knocked
yeah,
it just over the bar.
yeah,
So a few interesting ones there, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And it looks like sometimes those ones are those ones that you catch going around on Instagram, and obviously you
Yeah,
just got to be able to, execution and making sure, you really want to make sure you're finding the back of the net, especially if you want to move and beat the keeper. Um,
yeah,
we talked about that
definitely.
through the men's World Cup,
Hmm.
um, and it's nice to, like you said, see some variation, to keep those keepers on their toes and guessing, and
Yeah,
making it a little bit easier to put them off balance.
yeah, definitely. Well, they're pretty agile goalkeepers anyway, so you're going to move them. And
Yeah,
I think there's some pretty good ones where they shifted the ball and really challenged the goalkeeper. And, they're wearing pads. So
yeah,
if you go and just at the same speed or you want to hit it through them, they got a pretty good chance of saving it.
yeah. No, that's right. Um, so that's brought us up to speed with the matches
Yep.
to date. We've
Yep.
got
There's one more game with
coming up.
Germany and China tomorrow.
Yep. So we tomorrow, the Sydney
14th of
Olympic
Feb.
Park. Yep, 14th of Feb. On Valentine's Day, Germany and
Mm,
China will go head to head at uh, in the afternoon.
yep.
Um, and then the next day, Germany, backing up, and they've got the game on the 15th of Feb against Australia,
Hmm.
and that
And
will
that
close
closes
out,
out those
yeah,
leg.
that leg of the Pro League. And then on the 18th, it starts up in New Zealand, with New Zealand playing United States. They're actually playing in my hometown in Wellington, up at
In
the
windy Wellington.
one National Hockey Stadium, National Hockey Stadium. So it's good.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to see, you know, those girls on home turf playing a pro league. I don't think they've been, it's always nice to see international games back in Wellington. So hopefully there's a good crowd turnout for that. And the US woman will be a good challenge first up. Um,
Yep.
and I'll be watching quite closely because I've got an old rep teammate at the helm, coaching the New Zealand women. So big shout out to Phil Burrows, who's taken on that role, and we're watching you
Good
closely.
luck,
Phil,
mate.
we'll have you in the cafe sometime soon.
Definitely.
Um,
We look forward to having him.
yeah, and China actually head over to New Zealand, to join that league. So they actually play New Zealand on
Yeah.
the 19th of Feb. Um, and then, yeah, they will play each other a few times.
Yep.
Um, and they'll close that one out on the 26th of Feb. And they third leg coming up. I mean, we'll probably cap on this, but the third leg will be back in Hobart with Australia, Argentina coming
Yep.
over, and then US come over as well.
US,
Um,
Spain.
yeah, in Spain. So
Yeah.
that'd be really good. And let's have a look. Meanwhile, we have a look at the men's as well. They kick off early March, so 4th of March down in
Yep.
Hobart. After the women finish up, we've got Spain and the US over as well, um, and Argentina. So really, it'll be a really good, um, some quality hockey here.
Yeah, no,
To
I'm excited,
look
mate.
at. Yeah,
It's absolutely great to have world-class teams playing regularly on TV and for those that can get around and watch them.
yeah, and it's nice to see them going to places like, I say Wellington, Hobart, you know, um, and away from some of the other bigger main cities, as well. So it's really nice to see the pro leagues that are being moved about a bit as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Get all those young kids playing all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, well, and the opportunity to see some of the world's best hockey players out there and inspire them, and see what their what the standards are like for them to reach that world stage.
Absolutely, mate. Well, they could inspire the next commentator.
Yeah. Well, we might have to see if we can pick up some of this video feed and do some of our own from the cafe and see what we,
See how we go. I think
put our own cut in there.
that's it. Well, you know them all by heart, mate. All the New Zealanders. I might have to work on my accent because I think most of the commentators at the moment are all English. So
Yeah. Oh,
time to change, mate.
yeah. Fresh voices. I think we'll give it a crack. Put our own little spin on it.
Yeah, maybe we'll call one or two players just for fun.
Yeah.
Never know, we might get the tap on the shoulder.
Oh yeah, we might do. Be good. Well, I think that's going to round out our time in the cafe.
Absolutely.
For episode 12. I know our list is warming up and it's long in terms of some special guests coming to join us, and I think we got some good questions being fired through for some question time as well. So look out for some exciting upcoming episodes.
It's exciting time. I'm the big dog, and thanks for listening to I Love Hockey. And I'm here with
Pretsel, and remember to subscribe, like, and follow us on our socials. And like everyone loves a good pass, so passes around, get it out there, and we look forward to you tuning in to us next time. Till then,
I Love Hockey.
exactly.